Okay, it's that time again. New project. This time something way different than usual, something medieval. I found this manufacturer of these figures on Facebook, Paulus, and they're really kind of cool. When I saw them, I was like, what the heck? I purchased a few of them, and they're very nicely detailed. Definitely from medieval times. I'm not sure exact period, but the equipment was worn for a while, interspersed with different groups and countries. So a lot of this stuff was the same. As you saw at the beginning, I showed their website. It's interesting. I'll put that in the links below. And anyway, so I purchased a few, but I didn't want to make them exactly like I saw in the photos with the that comes with that really neat door. So I started assembling and looking at the figures. They're very, like as I said before, nicely detailed, small, petite. In fact, some pieces can break. I was going to make a small vignette base. So here I am using the clear acrylic boxes so I can protect these when I sell them and ship them. Everything's been going really well as far as selling and shipping. These look really good on display shelves in someone's office, especially historians. So thanks for those who have been purchasing. I put the base onto a wooden block that I purchased on Amazon, and it's time to start fleshing out what I wanted to do. I wanted a backdrop to be behind the figures, so I was going to create a wall inside a castle. So I started using my styrene, which I also purchased on Amazon. I used to get it free at sign shops, but I like this black plastic. So I've been using it. It's about just a 1/8 of an inch thick. It's pretty thick styrene, but I like it for these walls. It works very well. And I got to keep checking to see if everything fits, especially that top piece. I don't want to be putting things together and then that acrylic top does not fit. But everything's scored out and measured out and then cut. I wanted everything at an angle. I didn't want anything straight. I wanted a staircase, as you can see, and the staircase is even offset. So all the pieces had to be cut and then cut at a certain angle, as you can see here. I used matchstick, the large matchsticks for the beams, probably for a ceiling in another room, flooring, whatever. I had to remove the one on the right after a while because it was underneath the lamp. And here you can see the stairs, how they're at a sloping angle, just to give some more interest. Maybe it was going around a curve up into the castle. And as you can see, everything's fitting now good. I just have to make sure when I put on the rest of the materials for this diorama vignette that they do not obstruct that glass acrylic. Magic Sculpt was used, as I always on a lot of my other diorama vignettes. It's put on the side there of the stairs, and then with a old toothbrush, and I always call it a magic toothbrush, I put in the texture. Not only does this create the texture, but it also flattens it out very well in areas that may stick out more than what I want. But this always works really well for the stone work. And then I have a little tool I made. I just put a bent wire into this pin vise, and I can use it to sculpt in the different stones that I'm going to have in this scene. Everything is just thought out in my mind, and also looking at reference that I have. It goes pretty fast, especially on something this small, so these aren't so bad. A lot of people use styrofoam, which I think is awesome, but I'm just a fan of the way I've been doing it. I'm way more accustomed to how it reacts, etc. So here I am putting back in some more texture after I've carved in these stones for the castle stairs. And then after I do that, then I come back in with another small, either a toothpick or a piece of metal, whatever, and I round off the corners a little bit more and shape up the stones. I wanted to make a really cool torch that would hang in these castle walls, and that's why I removed one of those matchstick beams. I made it out of a Panzerfaust. I got a Panzerfaust, I cut it up, and at the very tip, I heated it up and just made like a ball at the end of the plastic as it heated up, and then I just wrapped the solder around for the grip. And then just with some wires and some styrene, I finished up the rest of the bracketing that's going to hold it onto the wall. And as you could see, the photo etch was made for the top, and that worked out really well. So I'm back up onto the castle scene here, and I've got Magic Sculpt onto the back, and I'm going to do some stonework here, and of course always my references are going to be in place. The toothpick is where the torch is going to go. So I have a place to pin it inside, and I make sure the texture looks really good. And once again, the magic toothbrush is used for that. And then of course, after that's done, I'm going to sculpt in the stones, which once again, I had lots of reference that I picked up off the internet to look at this stonework and castles. So some of it is my own interpretation of the way I wanted it to look, and a lot of it is my reference, and some of it is just combinations of both, which this is art and I want to have fun doing it. So I kind of ad-lib sometimes, but I want to keep it as realistic and historical as possible. Here you can see it, my reference actually right there in front of me, and I'm putting in the rest of the stonework with that little tool that I use, and it's coming out pretty well. Pleased with it, and I'm just going to keep going and putting in more and more stones. You really got to check the scale as you work and make sure you're not making them too big or too small. So it's always good to check references with, say, a human figure standing up against the stones, etc., so you know how it looks. And then once again, the magic toothbrush, working in the texture after I've sculpted in the stone. It also flattens it out a little bit. And then the torch was added, put it into that little hole, and the scene's coming together here. And I really, really love the way this looked because it's scratch built. It's not AI, it's not 3D printed, it's Glen printed. So, we get a satisfaction out of making things ourselves. And then once everything's in place, holes are drilled to start accepting the figures and the positions that I'm going to want them in. I started out with just these two figures, and I really liked them because the guy's smashing the other guy in the face with his shield after he had lost his sword. It's a mayhem of fighting here in this scene, and I really wanted some action, I really wanted some animation, and I really wanted it to look like when you've experienced looking at this scene, you can tell something's is still happening. You can feel the emotion, you can feel things going on. That's what I'm trying to get across in the rest of my dioramas. So everything was painted flat black, and then I just airbrushed a highlight. The stones are painted in now, and I just used different colors from my reference photos. I wanted this scene to be dark visually due to the interior of a castle, medieval times, so I wasn't going to go very vivid and bright on the final coloration of this. Right now it's fairly bright because this is just the beginning stages, putting in the tones and colors. As I build them up, you'll start seeing a change in the scene. I enjoy just painting these in like this. It's relaxing. You want to do this hobby when you can relax and enjoy it. You don't want to do it when you're rushed and feel like you just want to get something done because you want to finish it. You want to relax. You want to absorb all that the hobby can give you as far as the pleasure of creating something yourself. And and this is the best way to do it. So find a time when you can relax and don't do it when you rush. Okay, now it's time to add the mortar in between the stones. We're going to mix a little bit of color with some spackle, wall spackle. I wanted this scene to be a little darker. As I said before, normally I use just pure white and use a wash to get it a little darker, but I tried something a little different this time. So let's see how it turns out. It was added all over the completed stonework, and then once I applied it, I wiped it away with a damp rag to get the excess out. This was done over the entire piece, except for to be careful with that torch. And then of course it's time for the weathering wash. Burnt umber artist oils, diluted with terpenoid, synthetic turpentine, which always works great. Been using it forever. You can pick it up at the art store, and I'm sure you can get it online easy. The entire thing was put on, the entire base, walls, stairs, everywhere, and I went a little heavier maybe than usual, because as I said before, repetitious, wanted a little bit darker in this scene to look a little bit more dungeon-y, castle, medieval, dark times. As you can see here, adding it into the stonework on the walls, and I just work it in here and there, and if I want a little bit less, put a little bit more thinner around it, soak it up. You get the gist. You've probably seen this in a million videos. I know you've seen it in all mine. But it's part of the process, so we got to do it, got to show it, and here it is. It's a process that I do on all my scenes, my vehicles. The only thing I don't put a wash like this is on figures. I feel like it gunks it up. You have to be a little bit more precise with figures, and when you do that, it's best to do washes with acrylics. And here I'm adding pastel powders mixed with terpenoid. You can use pigments. I used an olive color because you're going to have a lot of algae green growth in the damp areas of a castle, obviously, so that's added in just to bring in some more tones, some more life. And we've got the scene really going now, so we can start doing some of the details. Detailed out the torch, painted it up. All right, now it's time to build the figures. I added one more figure. This was a guy closing the door on the castle. I wanted to convert him. So instead of him closing a door, I wanted his one hand to have a sword. So what I did is I got a piece of, I guess, copper from photo etched sprue, whatever you want to call it, fret. And I used my Dremel tool to just sand out and trim out the photo etched piece copper until I got into a shape of a sword. And this was actually kind of fun because once again, this was created by me, and I was going to put it right in here, and I was going to add the sword hilt underneath his hand. And to accept the new sword piece, and I had to make a little slot. I used a razor saw just to make a little tiny slot right above the hand, and that way I could put the piece in there, and it was just super glued in place, and it worked out perfect. I made some other handles out of photo etch too. The figures are now primed with Mr. Surfacer, and they can be added in, and now it looks like a rush to the cafeteria when I was in school, grade school, and that's exactly what I wanted. I wanted it to look very crowded, very like a lot of action going on, and this guy sees a foe from below. And now it's time to do the painting. Painting the figures, I mixed a blue and a red together to make a purplish color. I wish it would have been more purple, but I wanted to do that, and I started that. I sprayed that over the bottom portion of it, and then over the top portion, I just got basic skin tone and sprayed down to get the zenithal lighting for parts of the highlight that you're going to see here. And I left kind of the back of some of them on the one side a little darker because that's a shadow behind them. Let's see how that works out. You can see here, there's the basic skin tone, as I said before, sprayed over the top just to give some highlight there. So I put the scene in AI because I wanted to see what colors I might be able to paint these guys in. So AI generated me some colors. The thing looks finished, basically. You're going to wonder if some people are going to try to get this where they said they finished a piece and there it is, but I'm not going to do that. You're going to see how I paint mine, so let's get at it. All right, the first step in painting is I wanted to do the chainmail. So I got some black, and everywhere there was chainmail, I painted black. Also any other places that I wanted to undercoat something in a dark color for some rare reason, then I painted it black. This was the best way to bring out the chainmail. I haven't done chainmail in forever. So it's the first time I've done it, as I said, forever, so I figured I'll just paint it black underneath. I remember sometimes using different colors of burnt umber and not making it so stark black. But I did that on larger figures when I used to paint figures in oils back in the day, and that's how I did it. But this is the way I did it now, and I used actually some gunmetal gray and some silver mixed together, just hobby craft paint. See, as I mixed them together like this, and I just get some of the paint out. I know most of you know how to dry brush, and then just dry brushed it on a little at a time. And you can see there's some chainmail in the photo, and I just worked a little at a time, putting just a tiny bit on, and kept going over and over until I was pleased with the way it looked. I wanted to get this out of the way. I didn't want to get any silver on any other pieces of clothing and articles he was using. So this is the best way to do it. Since I was going to use so many colors on this, I went and made my own wet palette out of a food container for leftovers. There's the top. Put some paper towels in there, and then a sheet of wax paper, and then I wet the paper towels with water, and then put the wax paper back on top, and you can make your own palette. You can buy these if you'd like. I like this one. It's big, and after I use it, I can throw all this stuff away. It's readily available, and put a little bit of water in there and just soak it up. And that way you have some moisture to keep your paints damp and so they don't dry out. I started out just using some 3 colors here for the tunic on the first medieval soldier that I was going to paint. This guy didn't have any chainmail, he just had a helmet. So you can see I mixed matte varnish with the acrylic paint. And because you really want your figures to be dead matte. It really helps in your photography. It helps them look way more convincing instead of shininess on your figures. You don't want any shininess on it unless it's supposed to be shiny, and then you need to be careful. I even sprayed the chainmail and the helmets and everything. I sprayed them in matte finish when I was done, so it still looks right. I'm using a glazing technique. The best way I can explain how I do it is to go watch videos by Momento's Hobbies. And the Momentum is on my favorite list. You can see his YouTube page. I learned a lot from that channel. I actually learned more from the gaming mini figure painters that do fantasy and stuff like that, because they are always painting this stuff in acrylics, and their videos are really good. So that's where I've learned actually more than from the hobby channels on military. As you can see here, I started using lots of colors to achieve what I wanted. So this is going to be so difficult to show you in a video. It would be so long and boring probably, and that's why I haven't done a painting video for figures yet, and I've just explained that in my other videos. I'm just not ready to do that because I want to be able to really show something that makes a big difference for everybody. So once again, it's just a glazing technique. It's putting on the colors, let them dry, and then with thin coats, you go right over them. And you keep working over. And let me tell you, you can work on these things for days and days to get these tones if you want. It just all depends on how much time you want to put into it, is what you'll get out of it. I spend a little bit of time, could always spend more, but I got other projects that I want to do, and it drives me crazy not to finish. But I wanted to finish this one. You know, when you see it finished, when AI does it for you, you're like, oh, okay, I'm done. So it kind of takes some of the wind out of you when you let AI do that. It's definitely the good and the bad of AI. But I finished these up. I was pretty pleased. And you can see here, these are all the colors I used on the figures, just the figures alone. So there's a lot goes into the process. Now, the final details was the decals that I made for the shield emblems. Easy to do with decal paper. You can see some of it in my other videos where I've really done this extensively. They came out pretty cool, and they added more realism and detail to my scene. I think it's pretty cool. They're put on, and then they are coated with microsol, and then when they dry, then I spray them with an acrylic or a enamel flat coat. Definitely makes a difference in your scenes if you can add these types of details with the decals. Here it is finished. And the last thing I did is I got my pastels out, and I wanted to put some soot on the lamp. And that's all I had to do. Brushed it in. Looks like it's kind of smoking here too. And now the final reveal. Take the top off, protects everything. I worked on this project at the same time as another project that I had finished, my last video. 3D printed figures are nice. These were 3D printed, but they were then cast in a mold, and that, I think you lose a little bit of the detail that it could have been on there. But all in all, I think these figures are good. I recommend them. The company has way more to offer. There's boats, there's more figures, animals, different historical times, and it's really nice. But thanks for watching. Stay tuned.